Have you ever felt like you're standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into an uncertain future, wondering if God really has a plan for you? It's a feeling that many of us know all too well. But what if I told you that in those moments, when everything seems uncertain, there's a divine message waiting to be heard? Psalm 105 is one of those messages, an ancient yet powerful reminder that God is faithful, His promises are unbreakable, and He has been working on your behalf long before you even realized it. So what does this psalm have to say to you, right here, right now? Let's dive into it and discover how this timeless message is exactly what you need to hear today. You see, life isn't always a clear path. Sometimes the road ahead is foggy and the destination feels out of reach. But Psalm 105 calls us to remember the wonders of God, to look back at His faithfulness and let it fuel our hope for the future. Whether you're facing challenges in your personal life, questioning your faith, or just feeling a little lost, this psalm invites you to remember that God's promises never fail. He has been faithful from generation to generation, and His commitment to you is unwavering. And that, my friend, is a message that can light up even the darkest moments of doubt. What if you allowed this psalm to become a part of your daily life, a reminder that you're not walking this journey alone? Imagine the transformation that could take place in your heart if you truly embraced God's faithfulness and love. But that's not all. Psalm 105 doesn't just call us to remember, it calls us to share. As you hear this message, how can you share it with others? How can you remind someone else that God's wonders are still at work today, that His love still reigns supreme, and that His plan for them is perfect? This message is not just for you. It's for everyone who needs to hear the truth that God is faithful. Sometimes, life throws curveballs that can leave you feeling like you're drowning in discouragement. It's easy to forget, in those heavy moments, that you're not alone. God has already promised to never leave or forsake you. When everything feels uncertain, remember His faithfulness, as He is the steady anchor you can rely on. No matter how hard it gets, His promises remain unshaken. Even in your darkest hour, He's there, waiting for you to turn to Him. And trust me, that feeling of peace will flood your heart as you open up to His unwavering support. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves discouraged by circumstances? It's natural, but it's also essential to remind ourselves that the Bible doesn't leave us in these struggles without a way out. Take a moment to pray, remembering the promises He made throughout generations. Those promises are still true today, and they are meant for you right now, in the middle of whatever you're facing. It's in the darkest moments that God's light shines the brightest, guiding you toward the hope you might have forgotten existed. Discouragement can feel like a wall, blocking your view of God's plan. But remember, that wall is not permanent. God's faithfulness has withstood the test of time, and His word is just as relevant today as it was when it was first written. Imagine what would happen if you allowed His promises to break through your discouragement, like rays of sunshine cutting through clouds. It's not about ignoring the pain. It's about recognizing that the pain does not define your future. Consider your own life for a moment. How many times have you faced setbacks, only to look back and see that God was there, working things out for your good? It's in those moments of doubt that His faithfulness becomes your strength. All it takes is for you to pause, breathe, and remember that you don't have to carry it all on your own. With every prayer, you're not only speaking to God, you're reinforcing the bond of trust that He will always come through, even when the road is tough. As you walk through life's challenges, remember, you are not forgotten. God's promises are as solid as a rock, and you can lean on them when you're weary. Take some time each day to reflect on His goodness and pray for strength to face the day ahead. And when you do, trust that He's with you, offering peace that surpasses understanding. No matter the storm you're facing, His love and faithfulness will guide you safely to calm waters. Maybe you're feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders right now. But know this, His promises are not just for someone else, they're for you too. All you need to do is open your heart to receive them. So take a deep breath, turn your eyes toward Him, and trust that the hope you need is already there, waiting for you to claim it. His faithfulness, never wavers. It's the one thing that will always remain certain in a world full of uncertainty. And with that in mind, let's take a moment to reflect on how God's unwavering faithfulness has always been there for his people, through the centuries and through every storm. But how do we remember and live out his promises in our own lives? Let's dive deeper into that next. In times of struggle, it's easy to forget the countless examples of God's faithfulness throughout history. Psalm 105 serves as a beautiful reminder of the wonders he has performed from the very beginning of time to today. When you read this psalm, you can't help but see the grand tapestry of God's love woven through the generations. It's like looking back at a roadmap where each turn and detour shows his hand at work. His faithfulness isn't just a distant memory, it's a present reality that extends to you today. Psalm 105 invites us to reflect on the past, not just to remember history, but to strengthen our trust in the God who made these promises. His power and presence are not bound by time, they stretch across the ages, impacting lives both then and now. The psalm doesn't just recount events, it calls you to recognize that those same wonders are available to you. Think about it. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who delivered his people from captivity, is the God you can pray to today. The psalm paints a vivid picture of God's covenant with his people, showing how he promised to bless and protect them through every season. This divine faithfulness isn't just for the chosen people of the past, it's for you as well. God's love doesn't fade with time. In fact, it deepens. His commitment to you, to every individual who believes in him, remains constant. When you reflect on his mighty works, you're reminded that his promises stand firm, even when the world around you seems unstable. God's love for his people, as shown in Psalm 105, is a love that transcends time and circumstance. When you feel distant or disconnected, remember that his love is not fleeting. Just like he was with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he is with you, guiding you through the ups and downs of life. Reading Psalm 105 brings this truth to life. It makes God's faithfulness feel not just like a past event, but a living, breathing force in your own life. The wonders he performed then are the same wonders he is ready to perform now, if you open your heart to him. It's amazing how, as you read through Psalm 105, you realize that every part of it serves as an invitation. It invites you to step into that same faith, trust, and devotion that the generations before us had. The psalm is not only about remembering the past, it's about taking those memories and making them part of your present. It's about recognizing that no matter what happens in your life, God's faithfulness will remain constant. His love will carry you through, just as it carried his people through countless challenges. In your moments of doubt, look to Psalm 105 as a beacon of hope. God is faithful, and his promises are not only for the distant past, but are here, now, for you. As you reflect on the mighty deeds of God, you can rest assured that he hasn't forgotten you. His love and faithfulness extend from generation to generation. And as you continue to seek him, you'll experience firsthand the power of his ongoing presence in your life. But as we think about God's faithfulness and the covenant he has made, it's important to dive deeper into what that covenant means for you today. Let's explore that next. When we read Psalm 105, it's not just about the events, it's about the promises God made to his people. Promises that were sealed in the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This divine agreement wasn't just about blessings for these men. It was about a lasting relationship between God and his people, spanning generations. The covenant God made with Abraham was not a fleeting promise, it was a forever promise that reaches across time to touch your life today. God's commitment to his people, once established, never fades. It's a constant, living reality that speaks to the unwavering nature of his love. Think about Abraham, who stepped out in faith even when everything seemed uncertain. God made promises to him that he would carry through, no matter the circumstances. Psalm 105 invites us to reflect on that faithfulness, reminding us that God's promises to his people don't end with one generation. They continue, and they reach into your life too. When God says he will be with you, he means it. When he promises blessings, guidance, and protection, he stands by those promises without hesitation. This is the nature of his covenant. In the story of Isaac and Jacob, we see that the covenant God made didn't just pass down like a family heirloom. It was a living, breathing promise that took on new depth with each generation. God didn't abandon his people when they stumbled. He renewed his promises time and time again. This speaks volumes about the kind of relationship God desires with his people. It's not about perfection, it's about faithfulness. And that faithfulness is yours too, as a child of God. Just as he walked with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he walks with you, guiding your steps and keeping his promises. The covenant established with these patriarchs wasn't based on their merit, but on God's mercy. He knew their weaknesses and flaws, but he loved them anyway. When you read Psalm 105, you're reminded that God's love doesn't depend on your ability to get it all right. It's a love that is constant, steady, and unwavering. His commitment to you, just like his commitment to the forefathers of faith, is not conditional. This is the power of God's covenant. It's a promise that stands firm no matter what. Reflecting on God's actions in the lives of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob helps you realize that the covenant wasn't just about blessings, it was about relationship. God was building something deeper with each of them, just as he's building something deeper with you. It's not about receiving what you want. It's about knowing that God's plans are far greater than what you can see. The covenant is an invitation into a deeper walk with God, where his faithfulness shapes the trajectory of your life. As you reflect on these moments from the Bible, consider how you too are invited into the same covenant that God made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. His promises are alive, and they're for you right now. They haven't faded with time. They haven't been replaced with something else. What he promised to these patriarchs, he promises to you. Guidance, protection, provision, and an unbreakable relationship with the creator of the universe. Now that we've explored the covenant and God's unchanging commitment, it's important to understand what this means for you personally. How does his faithfulness impact your daily life, your struggles, and your victories? Let's dive deeper into that next. Psalm 105 isn't just a reminder of past faithfulness, it's an invitation to trust in God's ongoing care. It emphasizes that God doesn't stop being faithful once he's made a promise. He continues to provide, protect, and guide his people every single day. Just as he cared for the Israelites as they wandered through the wilderness, he's there for you in your own journey. His care is not distant, and it's not just for the big moments, it's for every moment of your life. When you feel lost or uncertain, remember, God's presence is a constant source of strength and hope. You may wonder, as many do, if God's care truly extends to you in your current circumstances. Maybe you're facing difficulties that make you question if he's still present. Psalm 105 reminds us that God's care doesn't stop when the road gets rough. His plan is bigger than any challenge you may face. The psalm urges you to trust in his timing and his path for you. Even when it feels like things are falling apart, trust that he's at work, leading you to something greater. God's plans for you are always good, and he's never left your side. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, distracted by everything pulling at your attention. But Psalm 105 invites you to slow down and seek God's presence, not just in the moments of desperation, but in the everyday rhythms of life. Seeking his presence isn't about asking for something. It's about simply being with him, letting his peace fill you. When you allow yourself to be still and focus on God, you open the door for his strength to fill you. It's in these moments that you begin to realize how much he's already been doing in your life. Seeking God's presence isn't just about feeling better. It's about receiving the strength you need to continue moving forward. When God's presence fills your heart, your perspective shifts. You begin to see beyond the struggles and focus on his plan for you. You find the courage to keep going, even when the path seems unclear. It's in those quiet moments of prayer, reflection, or simply being in his word that you discover the hope that you need. God's ongoing care for you is not just an idea, it's something you can experience daily in practical ways. Trusting in God's plan requires patience. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as quickly or smoothly as we hope. But Psalm 105 teaches us that God's plan often unfolds over time. His faithfulness is shown through his patient care, as he works in ways we can't always see. When we trust in His timing and seek His presence, we're reminded that He's always at work. His plans are being woven into every moment of your life. And while you may not understand it all, you can rest in the fact that He does. As you reflect on Psalm 105, consider how you can actively seek God's presence in your life. Whether through prayer, reading the Bible, or simply being still, God's care is there for you. It's a constant reminder that He's always guiding you, always supporting you, and always preparing you for what lies ahead. Trust in His plan, knowing that His love and faithfulness are with you every step of the way. And as you seek Him, you'll find the strength and hope you need. But what does it look like to truly trust in His plan and experience His strength in our daily lives? Let's explore that next. As we reflect on the unwavering faithfulness of God, it's important to pause and express our gratitude through prayer. Prayer is a powerful tool, not just for asking, but for thanking. God has been faithful in so many ways, and acknowledging that is key to building a deeper connection with Him. Psalm 105 invites us to recognize God's goodness and to thank Him for the countless ways He's shown up in our lives. Prayer isn't about offering perfect words, but about coming to God with a heart full of gratitude. It's about taking the time to honor His faithfulness and proclaim His goodness. Take a moment now, wherever you are, to join in a simple prayer. Father, thank You for Your constant faithfulness. Thank You for Your love that never fails, for Your promises that stand firm no matter the circumstances. I recognize Your hand in every part of my life, guiding me, protecting me, and providing for me. I trust in Your plan, even when I can't see it all. Renew my heart to trust in You more deeply, and help me walk with the confidence that Your promises will never fail. This prayer can serve as a powerful reminder to thank God daily for His faithfulness and to recommit to trusting in His promises. When you pray, you invite God into your life in a personal way. Prayer is a conversation, a two-way street. As you thank God for His faithfulness, you're not only expressing gratitude, but also opening yourself to hear from Him. In those moments of quiet prayer, God often speaks the loudest. You may not always hear an audible voice, but He speaks through His word, through your thoughts, and through the circumstances He places before you. Trust that in those moments, God is guiding you, even when you don't immediately understand what He's saying. It's not just about asking God to meet your needs. It's about asking Him to renew your trust in His promises. We all face times when doubt creeps in, and the weight of life makes us question God's faithfulness. But through prayer, we can align our hearts with His truth. We can ask Him to renew our trust and remind us that He's with us through every situation. When you pray, invite Him into those moments of doubt and uncertainty, asking Him to fill you with a renewed sense of His presence and His promises. When you pray for renewed trust, you're not asking God to change His promises or His plan. You're asking Him to change your perspective. In those moments of prayer, you're reminding yourself that God is bigger than any obstacle and that His faithfulness is unwavering. Just like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we can be confident in the promises God has made to us, knowing that His plan is far greater than anything we could ever imagine. Prayer is a way to realign ourselves with God's eternal plan, helping us to move forward in faith, even when the future seems uncertain. After praying, consider how you can live out the trust you've asked for. How can you act on the renewed confidence that God's promises are true? It's about living each day with the assurance that God is with you, guiding you, and protecting you. Prayer is a starting point, but the real transformation happens as you step into each day with trust in your heart and faith in your actions. As you walk with renewed trust, remember that prayer doesn't stop here. It's an ongoing conversation with God. So how can you continue to pray with faith, knowing that God's promises are true? Let's dive deeper into this idea next. When we experience the goodness and faithfulness of God, it's not something meant to be kept to ourselves. Psalm 105 challenges us to proclaim God's wonders to others, sharing His goodness wherever we go. God's faithfulness is something we're called to testify about, whether through our words or our actions. When we live with gratitude, it's an outward expression of the inward change that has taken place in us. It's more than just acknowledging God's blessings. It's about living in such a way that others can see His wonders through us. By proclaiming God's greatness, we become His witnesses to the world, showing others what a life anchored in His promises looks like. Proclaiming God's wonders doesn't always mean standing on a stage or preaching to crowds. It can be as simple as sharing a testimony with a friend, offering encouragement to someone in need, or even showing kindness to those who may not expect it. Gratitude becomes the foundation for living a life that points others toward God. When you're thankful for what He's done in your life, you naturally want to share that with those around you. It's a powerful way to evangelize, not through perfect words, but through the way you live and love. Let's talk about living with gratitude for a moment. Sometimes it's easy to take things for granted, isn't it? The day-to-day blessings, the small things, like waking up to a new day or having food on the table, can easily go unnoticed. But Psalm 105 reminds us that everything comes from God. Living with gratitude means recognizing that all of these blessings, big and small, are a gift from God. When you acknowledge that everything you have comes from Him, it shifts your perspective. You begin to live with a deeper sense of appreciation, knowing that your life is not just a series of random events, but a journey led by God's hand. What if we truly lived out this gratitude every single day? Imagine the impact it could have. Gratitude is contagious. When you begin to express thankfulness, it's like planting seeds of positivity and hope in the people around you. People can't help but notice when you choose joy over frustration, when you speak words of encouragement instead of complaints. This is one of the most powerful ways to proclaim God's wonders. It's not about grand gestures or trying to convince others of something. It's about letting God's love shine through you in every interaction, every moment, every day. Proclaiming God's wonders also means living with a sense of purpose. God has given us everything we need to live a life that reflects His love and faithfulness. When we walk through life with a heart full of gratitude, we can't help but live out that purpose. It's not about perfection, it's about being faithful in the little things. Whether it's offering a prayer for a friend or sharing a scripture verse, you're fulfilling God's call for you to be a light in the world. Living with gratitude changes the way you interact with others, and that's the true proclamation of God's wonders. As you reflect on how to proclaim God's wonders, remember that gratitude is a continual practice. It's not something you do just once. It's a mindset, a way of life. What does it look like to live with this kind of intentional gratitude? How can you let others see God's goodness in your daily life? Let's explore the deeper layers of this next. Life is full of moments that feel uncertain. Moments where it seems like the future is hidden behind a veil, and we're left to navigate without seeing the full picture. During such times, patience, courage, and faith become not just virtues, they become necessities. Psalm 105 calls us to trust in God's plan, even when it feels like everything is in flux. It encourages us to be patient, knowing that God's timing is always perfect. Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about waiting with confidence, trusting that the God who has been faithful in the past will continue to be faithful in the future. It's about letting go of our need for immediate answers and trusting that God's plans are always better than our own. Courage is another essential element when facing uncertainty. It takes courage to stand firm in your faith when the world around you seems unpredictable. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward in spite of it. When you're walking through uncertain seasons, it's easy to let fear control your decisions. But God doesn't want us to live in fear. He's given us His Holy Spirit to empower us, to strengthen us, and to help us stand firm when everything else feels shaky. Courage comes from knowing that we're not alone. God is with us every step of the way. And as we grow in courage, we find that the fears that once seemed so overwhelming lose their power. And then, of course, there's faith. Faith is the cornerstone of our relationship with God, and it's especially important in times of uncertainty. When we don't have all the answers, faith gives us the strength to move forward anyway. Faith isn't about having all the right answers or knowing how everything will turn out. It's about trusting in the one who does. It's about believing that God has a purpose for every season and that He's working all things together for good. Just like the Israelites were called to trust God's plan during their journey, we are called to do the same. knowing that God is working behind the scenes, even when we can't see it. When we pray, we're inviting God to give us the strength to remain patient, courageous, and faithful. It's not always easy, and there will be moments when doubt creeps in, but prayer helps us to refocus our hearts and minds on God's promises. It's through prayer that we can ask for the grace to endure, the courage to move forward, and the faith to trust in God's timing. Every prayer we offer is an act of surrender, an acknowledgement that we are not in control, but God is. And in that surrender, we find peace, knowing that He is always with us, guiding us through the unknown. Patience, courage, and faith are the keys to navigating uncertainty with grace. When life feels overwhelming, remember that God is with you, and He is working behind the scenes. Trusting in Him doesn't mean the storm will disappear, but it does mean that you'll have the strength to weather it. So when you're feeling uncertain, lean into prayer, lean into God's promises, and trust that He is with you through every trial. This leads us to ask, how can we continuously trust and surrender in these moments of uncertainty? Let's dive deeper into that thought next. As you reflect on the powerful message of Psalm 105, ask yourself, how can I live with a deeper sense of gratitude for God's faithfulness? In what areas of my life can I trust His timing more, especially during moments of uncertainty? And how can I share this message of hope with those around me, helping others see the wonders of God's love and provision? Remember, every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow in patience, courage, and faith. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but as you lean into prayer and God's promises, you'll discover that you're never walking alone. And if you feel inspired by this message, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with others who may need encouragement and help them remember that God is always faithful. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications so you can continue discovering the encouragement and wisdom the Psalms have to offer. God's message is timeless, and so is His love for you.